This is your third tutorial on strings. Here we'll be carrying on with the functions, the ones that are most helpful and most common in your syllabus would be the last two that I told you in the last one, length and caret. All your section B programs regarding strings require those, so those are the most important. But as I said before, there are some which you won't need in section B but are helpful for section A for predicted output and all. So the first one here in this tutorial, substring. Sub means part of, string refers to your string, so the method just takes out a part of the string that you have. So if your string is like this, x, y, z, a, b, c, if you number the indices, you will see it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the length is of course 6. So the substring function takes in one value as a parameter. This is just one type of substring function. I'll come to the other one. So if you put in a value like say 3, if you put in a value like 3, then this is going to return you a string that is the part of the original string starting only from the third index onwards. So it's going to ignore all the characters up to the third index. So it's going to ignore all of them over here, and from the third index it's going to return whatever's left. So your output will be ABC. Now there's also another type, there's another way you can use the function, and that's by giving it two parameters. If you say you put a 2, 4, then this will give you a value where it starts from the second index. It includes the second index, sorry. So it includes the second index. It goes up and leaves out the fourth index. So here in this example, it's going to give you the second and third indices, which in this string is just ZA. This will be your output string. So it's going to leave out the fourth index. So everything from the second index, including the second index, up till this. So that's for substring. Section A, very important for predicted output. There's concat. It's concatenate. You might have come across it before. It just means to add two strings. So if you do S1, where S1 is the first string, dot concat in brackets S2, and say your S1 is ABC and S2 is XYZ. So this function is going to give you ABC XYZ. It'll be merged into one string. That's it. XYZ over here. There's a simpler way of doing this without using a function, and that's simply doing S1 plus S2. This plus function just converts the strings. It gives you a new string. It just adds the two strings. So as there's a 2 another 1, so S1 plus S2 will also give you the concatenated form of ABC and XYZ. And this is also the reason if you look in all your system.out.print lines, if you have this over here, not an R, it's a P. So if you look, what you usually do when you want to print an integer or something is A plus, and then you write is a number or something. So what this does is it just converts this A into a string and then it adds the two. So you, on your terminal window, you get your output as, say if A is 5, then you get 5 is a number. That's how it works. And the same goes for if your A is a double, or even if it's another string or any other data type. So concat is not really useful, but still know it. Index of and last index of, again section A. Index of and last index of. So um, the name suggests that they will return you the index of a certain character and the last index of a certain character in a given string. So say my string is still this x, y, z, a, b, c, and I say index a dot index of, if my string is called a dot index of, and in brackets I say a character, say y. This is going to give me the first occurrence of the character y in the string a. Now a, we said, was always over here. So the first time you encounter y in the string is the index 1. You can see here. So this will return 1. Had there been another y at the end of the string, it would still return a 1 because it gives me the first index. If there are 2 or 3 or basically more than 1 occurrences, then it's going to return just the first one. Now last index, then there's also similarly like substring, there's another application of index of. You can also give it a number as a parameter. So I can also say y comma 4. So it's going to look at all the occurrences of y after the fourth index. So if I had a y at the end, it's going to look at that. It's going to give me 6 as this is index 6. So this will give me 6. It just ignores the first 4 up till 4, the first 4 characters, and after that it starts searching, and then it'll give me the first index. So that's all it does when you put a number also as a parameter. Similarly, there's last index of, and that since index of only gives you first index, last index gives you the last index. So if I take x, y, z, a, b, c, y, and I put in y as my parameter, it's going to return a 6. So I don't think I need to explain much here. It will just come and predict the output. So you should know how it works, and just pay attention to whether the 4 is counted or the 4 is not counted, and even for substring, because that could get you a whole 2 marks just if you know that. Now in the last video I told you about the equals function and how it's really important. It is important, but there's a function, there's a string function that does the same thing and does it one step better, and that is the so if you remember the equals function just told you whether your two strings are equal or not. It should return a boolean. That means it'll tell you true or false, any one of them. But when you're doing sorting or anything like that, when you need to find out does this string come before the other in the alphabetical order, then this doesn't really help. For that, what you need is compare to. So again, compare to, just like equals, you put in two strings, compare to. So it'll be, for example, s1 dot compare to in brackets s2. So this will return an integer value. This is really important. It could come in section A as well. It returns an integer value. So an example is, it could return a 0, it could return 10, it could return even -5, it could return any integer, negative, positive or 0. So if it returns a 0, you need to take it that both the strings are equal. They are equal, exactly equal. When it is anything else, that means that they are unequal, of course. They're unequal. But this function gives you further information regarding which one comes first. Now, we did s1 dot compare to s2. If the value of the integer that the function gives us is positive, that means if it's more than 0, then that means that s1 comes after s2 in the alphabetical order. For example, I have C over here as one string. Remember, a string can also have just one character, but a character can't have multiple characters. That would be a string then. So you have a string that is C and a string that has a value A. If you do this string dot compare to I'm just writing CT, this string, then it's going to give you a value more than 0 because s1 comes after s2. If you want a way to remember this, then you can just make a sort of number line, mark out 0, and just underneath the 0 put in s2. Okay, and you can imagine your alphabet to be going like this: A, B, C, all the way to Z on the right side. Now, if your value from the function is 0, then just put s1 on top of 0. If it is more than 0, put in s1 more than 0. If it's lesser than, put it lesser than. Now, just look at your alphabet. If your just going to change colors so you can see it clearly. If s1 over here is lesser than 0, that means that according to the alphabet, s1 comes before s2. So it's negative over here. And if it's positive, that means that s1 comes after s2 in this alphabet here. And so if you're sorting or anything in alphabetical order, you should change it. And that brings us to the second method of learning it. While you're doing sorting in alphabetical order, then a way to remember it is that if your value is positive, is more than 0 of this compare to function, that means you do need to make a change. So if you have this string here that has a value c dot compare to a, you're going to get more than 0, which is positive. So you're positive that you need to make the change. You have to make the change if it's positive. So that's another way to remember it if you want to, like that. But don't forget this for sure. It can come and print the output, and of course you could use it in section B. Now, like equals, there's a similar function which is equals ignore case. I'm just writing IC over here. Equals ignore case. It's really long to write it. So just like compare to, you put s1 dot equals IC ignore case in brackets s2 as it's equals ignore case. It's ignoring uppercase and lowercase, whether it's a, whether it's a capital A or a small a, takes it to be the same. So if I have a string a, b, c with a capital A, and I have another string that's small a, b, c, this function will return a true, because it's going to ignore the capital and the small and everything. It's just going to compare the characters. Same way, if I have small a, capital B, capital C, this will also return true. So all these are the same because you're ignoring case. That's the only reason. So this function will return true for all of them. Now you have two more functions left. Those are ends with and starts with. It's very simple. You have a string. I'll take this ABC string again. You have ends with first. Ends with. The name says it all again. Capital W here. Ends with. So if I do s1 dot ends with, I have another string s2 as a parameter. This function is going to tell me, does s1 end with s2? Say s1 is ABC, small a, small b, small c, and s2 is BC. Then this function will return true because ABC does end with BC. Had this been just a B without the C, then this would be false because ABC does not end with B. It just looks at the last part of the string and compares both of them. And starts with does the same thing, except it tells you does it start with that. So if my S2 was AB, then this would return a true because ABC does start with AB. Again, I don't think you could use it in many of your programs, but for section 8 definitely. There's a small part of this chapter left. that is just conversions. These are really important for section A. So I'll be telling you more about it in the next one since I'm again out of time. So last tutorial on strings in that'll be the next one.